Hello people persons, here's a very quick little video that I've put together to just quickly explain why I haven't been uploading, what's been going on, what I'm gonna do, what I am doing, and whether or not this could be completely uninteresting information or it could be interesting to somebody, so I'm just gonna upload it and you're gonna watch it and yeah, okay, here we go. I've finished the storyboard and roughly 50% of the illustrations, but I've yet to start really animating it. But rest assured, good people of this planet and world and universe, we are going to be getting it sometime soon. But wait, doesn't this video take longer to make because this is also animated? No. This be 3D, this be bad UV unwrap, this be sad me. This is pain, life is pain, I should stop. This is an elephant in the room topic that I've actually been wanting to cover for a while now, but at the same time there have been so many countless videos on the topic that I never really thought it was worth going into. However, a few of you have asked, so here is my reply. Before I say anything, I want to explain that I did not watch nor look at any of the promotional material for this game. I mean, maybe one or two trailers, but the rest of it I completely skipped over. I did this for mainly two reasons. One, because I wanted to be surprised and know very little about the game, and in order to avoid spoilers. I mean, it's not like they'd spoil the game in a trailer or anything. Why would they do that?
Oh, sorry.
It's not like they'd ever do that. And two, I knew that the sheer amount of hype that the game was built on was going to be impossible to deliver on, and I sat back just kind of like patiently keeping my expectations to something like, well, if it's good, it's going to be good, if it's bad, it's going to be bad, but I'm hoping it's going to be good. However, to say the game launch was a disaster would be like saying World War II was a minor inconvenience. But I did enjoy the game, and I've played about 80 hours, I've finished the main story and a fair number of the side quests, and it's good. I mean, it's buggy as hell and weird sometimes, but as a lover of, Blade Runner, Observer, and recently Deus Ex, I really enjoyed it, and I thought it delivered on a narrative and on an emotional level. Take in mind that everything I'm talking about right now is from a PC experience. In terms of gameplay and mechanics, it's fine. I did play capped at 30 FPS because my PC was doing its best interpretation of a burning building, but I mean it was alright, I could just about get through it. But I did enjoy the combat, and the side content is a lot of fun. I do, however, hate the way the fixers work. You know those guys who keep calling you for missions? Yeah, weird, right? Weird decision. In my opinion, they're just not good, and it's not a good system. They really should have made something where you go to them for the contracts, and every time you complete one, you get, access to the next contract, or at least give you the option to call them rather than them constantly calling you the moment you get anywhere near where this event happened, because it doesn't make any sense from a gameplay point of view, and it doesn't make any sense from the point of view of the fixer calling you in real life. Like, they wouldn't be doing that knowing exactly where you are at every single moment. I mean, then again, maybe they do, but anything would have been better, and especially it's annoying when you get called during emotional moments and it completely takes you out of the entire experience. However, one of the things that also seemed really off, or at least to me and my girlfriend, because we kind of play through the game together simultaneously, and it was the romance options, strangely enough. Don't get me wrong, the characters themselves are really great, but the romances are something that just kind of end in this awkward limbo of, okay, you've both now banged. That's the pinnacle of the relationship, that's as far as this goes. There might be something toward the end, but up until then it's just you've done the do, so now there be no new. That should be put on a t-shirt. Which might not seem like a big deal, but I've always felt that a romantic connection to other characters can really help raise the stakes and give the story an even bigger emotional pull. Like, for example, Panam is a great character, and the build-up to the relationship is filled with a lot of uncertainties, and it feels very natural. However, it sort of just stops after the banging be done, and I feel like that's a very weird place to end that relationship arc, because it doesn't sort of fizzle out into something else. It just kind of, it's like, that's it, you've got what you wanted kind of deal, and it seems a bit one-dimensional. And apparently it's even worse in the case of River, who is a detective, and his whole story. I mean, I love the story that goes along with him, because I feel like it shows a lot of darkness and twistedness in humanity, and it goes over this big grey area that The Witcher did a lot, in terms of, you know, it's not always everything that it seems, but I won't spoil anything if you haven't played it, but if you have, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But after you've gone through that romance option with him, it sort of just ends into he won't even talk to you, and every time you try to call him, it's like, I'm busy, babe, I can't do anything, I'm saving cases, saving lives, you know. And that could have actually been a cool thing to kind of inject some conflict into the two characters, some sort of like, you know, he's busy, she's busy, and it could have, like, I don't know, gone somewhere with that, as opposed to it just kind of being like, oh, well, now you've reached the end of that little arc, so it just ends, and it seems, again, a little bit two-dimensional. Or one-dimensional. I'm not sure if what dimension it's a part of all, but it's a dimensional capacity of something. I know that Kerry and Judy are also romance options, but from what I read online, it's very similar, although Judy is apparently a much better option. But while me and my girlfriend were playing, we kind of just exchanged like what was going on, and we even chose different options at the same time, so we could see what the different outcomes were, and it's really interesting to see what they did to change, and at the same time it's also kind of disappointing, like, well, that didn't do anything different. The story itself is exactly what I would have expected from CDPR, and does everything I wanted it to, even if the endings themselves aren't really the massive selection you might have wanted, especially if you come from playing The Witcher 3. In fact, the RPG elements of Cyberpunk are pretty lacking. They're still there, but just not in the same way. It also has the same problem that The Witcher 3 had, where, you know, the fate of the world or something very important would rest on your shoulders and would often be related to time, and more importantly, how much time you had. And since your main character is on a time limit, it makes everything else you do seem rather silly and out of place, since there's this big looming clock of doom you're trying to escape. So walking around and dealing with other people's problems when you yourself are at risk of, you know, just evaporating just doesn't really make much sense from a narrative perspective. You wouldn't be doing that. You'd be doing everything you can to, like, you know, help yourself, so it's kind of like a weird thing to be like, oh, this guy's dick is broken, I better, you know, go fix that right now, Jesus. I think the best thing they could have done would have been to give you access to all the side quests before that big event that starts the countdown timer, so that you could have really gotten into V's shoes and become a part of the world before going through the main story. I know that's probably not a technically good idea, because then you wouldn't have had Johnny around the place to talk to you and stuff like that, but it would have made a lot more sense if you had had full time to explore the world and do all the quests without the side effects and without the time limit, so that you could get all your upgrades and everything and kind of prepare yourself for the main story. And I think that, I don't know, I feel like it would have just made more sense from a narrative perspective. The lore, the world, the atmosphere, despite sometimes being broken, is nevertheless amazing and really captures something unique with a beauty and a grittiness that's pretty hard to balance out. Not to mention, the verticality in the world is incredible and awe-inspiring, and I think, in my opinion, that's where a lot of the performance issues and all the different systems actually stem from, because you're not only rendering what's around you, you're also rendering everything that's above you, and it might be why there's a lot of problems trying to get everything to run smoothly. I know that there have been countless games that have done cities before, but I don't feel like I've ever seen a game that has designed and detailed a city so densely. You could stop and look at any building and all of them feel very special, and to know that all of them have been handcrafted, designed and modelled, and I don't know, it's a testament to what they've done for the game in terms of design. You've probably also heard a lot of bad stuff about the AI, the cars, the police, and, yeah, it's not great. I mean, like, the memes that came out of it were pretty amazing at least, but, yeah, not good. Now, will they fix it? That's one of the biggest questions I've seen being asked around the place, and a lot of people think the game will make this kinda No Man's Sky type of comeback, but I just don't think that can ever happen just because they're not the same type of game, because No Man's Sky is a procedurally generated universe, and it's run and controlled by a bunch of numbers without any particular plot or characters that need to unfold in any specific order. Whereas Cyberpunk has to be organized. Everything has to fall into place the way the story requires it, and nothing can be left to chance. Not to say that they can't fix the game, but it will be a lot of work and it will likely require rebuilding a lot of systems from the ground up, and that's not even, mentioning the AI and just the way the game functions and the gameplay works and what one system might affect if it gets changed and what it might affect later on down the line, and but yeah, the game, I enjoyed it. The AI is terrible a lot of the time. The gameplay is fun, but it also can be a little bit jarring at times, and I hate the loot system, to be honest. I hate that you can get so much stuff and none of it really means anything except for the weapons that you're given by characters or something like that, or the very unique ones, but I'm not a fan of content for the sake of less quality, so that's another whole debate. However, it did meet my expectations and I did enjoy the game, and I think if you still haven't played it, wait a few months, maybe even wait another year, and then play it when it's been fixed and when it's had a lot of the updates that it sorely needs. I like old Star Wars games. Republic Commando being one of my favourites, and something I've been wanting to do for a very long time was to make a video talking about its design and doing a deep dive into its wondrousness is a word now in the dictionary. It's now something we have, yes. But it's kind of like a retrospective video I wanted to make on the game, and I've kind of been planning it for a very long time, and it's going to be a very long video, so it's going to take a lot of time to make, but it's something I want to do, and I'm going to do it. I've also been doing like a few Twitch gigs stuff, just one or two. Might have been why I've been a little absent of late. It's just one or two things. And the last thing is, for a very long time now, I've been a part of a website which allows indie devs to get their games reviewed and played by other smaller channels, and it's a nice way to kind of get them publicized and get them off the ground. And there is however a thing. When I started making the videos for it, there was only one video I made called Banners of Ruin, which was a sponsored video, and I didn't really upload much more because the website itself didn't have a lot of variety, and honestly a lot of the games that are on there just kind of look like Recently, the website's had a lot more interesting titles being uploaded onto it, and I actually might start making videos on the games that I feel are worth making videos about, and games that I would like to make videos about, because they do look genuinely interesting, and I think being able to support myself and indie developers at the same time would be a nice thing to do. But I really want to know what you guys think, and I will take into account the opinions that you share and whether or not you think it's a good idea. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video and for being around, and I hope some of you are still around. I know it's been a very long time since I've actually done a video where I actually talk as myself, as my own persona, without being another human being of a planet Earth, and yeah, it's a good thing I don't do these very often. So, I hope this video clears up anything you might be curious about, and until the next time, you go and have a very wonderful day. Cheerio.